שנת 2013, אני חוקרת שואה אצלי, הכל 1900 ומשהו. שנת 2013 הייתה שנה קשה מן הבחינה הבאה. לא מפני שעלו האירועים האלימים. האירועים האלימים לעומת 2012 היו בירידה, כי 2012 הייתה שנה מאוד קשה אחרי האירוע בטולוז, בצרפת, שמצא לו חיקויים וגל אלימות. אלא האירועים האלימים ירדו רק בהשוואה ל-2012, והם ממוצעים, הם בממוצע של העשור האחרון. מה שעלה ומה שהפך את השנה הזאת לקשה ולא נעימה מאוד, הוא ההתגברות וההחמרה בעלבונות, הצקות, איומים, הטרדות, כפות לאנשים, התאפלויות והתנכלויות שעושים את החיים יותר ויותר קשים ליהודים, וקודם כל באירופה וקודם כל במערב אירופה. I'll say that in English. 2013 has been a difficult year, but not because violent cases were on the rise. They dropped by 20% in comparison to 2012. But 2012 was an especially difficult one in terms of violence because it included the murder in Toulouse, which generated a severe wave of violence. It is, violence-wise, 2013, an average one in the last decade. An average, it's not a good word, average. It's as if we got used to it. But there are about 550, 600 violent cases around the world per year during the last decade, more or less. Why was it then a difficult year? Because what has increased and intensified is the harassment, insults, abusive language, visual caricatures, all these that have become, I must emphasize this, I'll say that also in Hebrew, that have become almost a daily phenomenon. And that's the problem. It's almost a daily phenomenon. These cases are not counted. No one can count them. In Canada, they made an effort. It's more than 1,000. It's at least 1,300 in Canada only. Also, it is infiltrating from the left and right, the extreme left and right, into the center of society. אני מדגישה בעברית עוד שתי נקודות שלא הדגשתי קודם בעברית. השנה קשה בגלל ההצקות, ההטרדות, ההתנכלויות, ומפני שהן הפכו לתופעה כמעט יומיומית, אי אפשר לספור את כל המקרים האלה, זה נכון? אנחנו לא יכולים להגיד שיש לנו המספר, אני מיד אדבר על זה, אבל אנחנו, מהתגובות של יהודים, אנחנו יודעים שזה הפך לתופעה כמעט יומיומית, ושמהימין הקיצוני והשמאל הקיצוני, זה חודר למרכז החברה יותר ויותר. עוד מילה בעניין הזה, רבותיי, אני רוצה שתדגישו את זה, בבקשה, כשאתם כותבים, מקליטים, משדרים. רוב המקרים שקורים, יהודים לא מדווחים עליהם. הם חושבים חבל על הטורח, מי יתפוס אותם כבר, מתי יתפסו, את מי יזהו. הם, לפי סקר שאני אדבר עליו מיד, לפי הסקר הזה, שערכה סוכנות לא יהודית של האיחוד האירופי, 77% אינם מדווחים על האירועים שקורים להם. זאת אומרת שיש הרבה יותר, כן? שאנחנו נותנים את מה שיש לנו. אבל המצב הוא, צריך להוסיף עליו בסביבות ה3/4. I'll emphasize this in English. Most Jews who experience a verbal or a physical anti-Semitic attack or attack or abusive language, etc., do not report it either to the Jewish communities or to other local authorities, civil authorities, because they don't think that it's worth the trouble. No one would follow, no one would catch or judge or put to trial. Therefore, I would like you to please emphasize and understand that we do not think we have all the numbers. We have what we have, for sure, that we found for sure. And thanks to Chaim Feierberg for doing the statistics so meticulously. But the situation is worse because we do not know and cannot count most of the cases according to the FRA. FRA is the Fundamental Rights Agency, that did a survey among 6,000 Jews and published it last November. 77% do not report. 90% have encountered anti-Semitism on the net. Some 30% are thinking of leaving Europe. At least a quarter do not go to Jewish events. And about 40%, 38% do not leave home anymore with identifying Jewish symbols, kippah or Magen David. Okay? So this is a very severe survey that was conducted not by a Jewish agency or community, but by a research branch of the European Union. אני אומר את זה בעברית. אני עוד מעט גוברת. מה קורה? לא? I would like to say that in Hebrew as well. FRA. FRA זה Fundamental Rights Agency, זרוע המחקר של האיחוד האירופי, פרסמה בנובמבר 2013 סקר שנערך בין 6,000 יהודים ב8 ארצות באירופה, שמייצגים בסביבות 1,000,000 יהודים, אוקיי? שחיים ב8 הארצות האלה. התוצאות היו לפי תחושות והבנה של יהודים, כן? לא ספירת מקרים, זה משאירים לנו, זה אנחנו. הם מצאו ש77% אינם מדווחים על האירועים, 90% נפגעו מאנטישמיות, או מצאו, היו לנוכח אנטישמיות ברשתות החברתיות ובמרשתת, ככה אומרים היום, באינטרנט, שזה מספר עצום, אבל אנחנו חיים היום במרשתת הזאת. כשליש שוקל לעזוב את אירופה, כ40% אינם יוצאים מהבית יותר עם סימנים יהודים מזהים, וכרבע אינו הולך לאירועים יהודים כדי לא להיפגע בדרך לשם וחזרה. הארצות שבהם זה הכי קשה הן הונגריה, בלגיה, צרפת, ופחות הולך ויורד בשוודיה, אנגליה, לטביה, גרמניה. אוקיי? אתם קיבלתם את המספרים, יש לכם גם חוברות, גם צילום של החלק העיקרי, ה-overview בחוברת, עברית-אנגלית. אם אתם לא רוצים לקחת כל החוברת, אין לנו שום בעיה עם זה, ופרס ריליס קיבלתם בקיצור. אני רוצה לסיים בשני עניינים קצרים. אחד, השנה אנחנו לא רואים סיבות שאפשר לשים את האצבע ולהגיד, אוקיי, בגלל זה עלה השנה. לא היה שום אירוע דרמטי במזרח התיכון, או בינינו בין הפלסטינאים. לא היה איזה רצח שעורר חיקויים. המשבר הכלכלי כבר 6 שנים פה, שום דבר לא חדש והוא לא החמיר, זה פחות או יותר דזל וזך. אין איזה סיבה, ולכן, וגם לפי טיב האירועים, אנחנו רואים שאנחנו חוזרים יותר ויותר לאנטישמיות, שהיינו מגדירים אותה כקלאסית. אנטישמיות פר סה. פתאום נזכרנו ברצח ישו. מה קרה? עלילות דם, מאמר על עלילות דם בספרד, וכו' וכו'. זאת המסקנה שלנו, ואנחנו, אני אומרת את זה גם באנגלית, Our conclusion for 2013 is that we cannot pinpoint a reason or a few reasons because there wasn't an event, a central military event related to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. There was no, hallelujah, there was no murder in Toulouse, thank God. The economic crisis is here for 6 years. It's not news anymore. So anti-Semitism, as we see it today, is classical one, is per se anti-Semitism that brings back anti-Semitic motives, old ones, and is directed against Jews. Even not anti-Zionism cannot explain that. A last word. We would like, I spoke about it with Aryeh, and we agreed it would be appropriate to say that, and with all our staff. We would like to say that it's a bit difficult for us, as a team, as a center, to pinpoint anti-Semitism abroad and attacks on Jews without asking that attacks on Muslims and Christians in Israel would be treated in the same way, with enforcement of the law and with punishment, with appropriate punishment. אני אומרת את זה המשפט האחרון בעברית. אנחנו כצוות, קשה לנו מאוד להמשיך לדבר על אנטישמיות בחו"ל, לדרוש צעדים נגדה, חקיקה, אכיפה, ענישה, בלי לומר שאותו הדבר צריך להיות כאן, מול התקפות על מסגדים, על כנסיות, על נוצרים ועל מוסלמים בארץ. תודה רבה, ואני מעבירה את רשות הדיבור לדוקטור קנטור. כן. אוקיי, בבקשה. בסדר, חיים. ומה יהיה? אולי זה יעלה. לא חשוב. כן. יש לנו בחובה. חבל. אבל לא נורא, יש לנו את זה בחובה יותר. מה? אני לא חושבת.
Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, you know, I am very much pleased to see old friends and reliable friends in the same auditorium the last years, and I am very happy and really appreciating the report made by Professor Dina Porat
and
the team, okay? Because the team is not only working for the last 20 years together, the team is progressing in the quality. And I see it reading carefully all reports, annual reports, which are doing for the last 20 years by this team. I want to tell you that today we see, in spite of the facts that the number of anti-Semitic accidents went down 19%, the quality, if we can say about this, the severeness of the cases are quite different. And that's why we are very much worried. The main message today, Jews, especially in Europe, not feel secure to live in Europe. It's almost half of the Jewish population of Europe feels unsecure. The majority of Jewish population in Europe today do not want to wear their identifiers. We have a lot of new phenomena in Europe, and Professor Porat mentioned it. The phenomena of so-called democratic anti-Semitism. The phenomena when it becomes the part of everyday style. And we see that the same phenomena were observed during the Nazi times, almost 100 years ago, starting being more public, And we see just now this phenomenon of kinel, this, you know, this gesture. It's so-called symmetric Nazi salute. And we see who is backing, who is spiritually backing this phenomena: intellectuals. The role of intellectuals today in growing anti-Semitism as a public phenomena is dramatic. We see, for example, the phenomena of Dieudonné in France. And only after 10 years of experiencing this, let's say, public provocation, I am appreciating very much the undertaking of French government, which decided finally to take this case in the court, and finally, current Prime Minister and the President of France succeeded to ban it completely and to take it out of performing. And then the next thing, and I'm happy that my colleagues in European Jewish Congress supported this phenomena, the authorities in Great Britain, especially Home Secretary of Great Britain, Theresa May, decided to prohibit Dieudonné to come to Great Britain completely. It means we have very strong messages, but at the same time, we see something that this infection of public anti-Semitism is going and spreading everywhere. Can you imagine, let's say even 10 years ago, that Kinel can appear in front of the gates of Auschwitz, in front of the gates of the synagogue in Toulouse? Nobody believed in this. Just now, it's the fact of reality. And we have to understand what is going on in general in the situation. We observe today in Europe the dramatic rise of neo-Nazism. And when we, try to make the analysis, what it means today, what is the definition of neo-Nazism today, we see very, very, how you can say, important set of specific features. By the way, the best definition of neo-Nazism was given by the former president of Tel Aviv University, Yoram Dinstein, during the last conference in St. Petersburg, Neo-Nazism 70 years after catastrophe. And he for example, gave the full definition of neo-Nazism is 15 points, like chauvinism, fanatism, xenophobia, and the leading, of course, specific feature is anti-Semitism. And the leadership in the world, and aggression inside the country, and militarism, and etc., etc. But the first symptom of any neo-Nazism is anti-Semitism. This is, and when we speak about the interests of Jewish street, and we are speaking about anti-Semitism, all non-Jewish streets all over the world should remember and understand. Next step is appearance of neo-Nazism. And what is the danger of neo-Nazism today? We are living in the world of challenges. And, we have the custom to live with this all. What are these challenges? So-called conventional challenges. It's proliferation of nuclear weapon out of legal field, it's international terrorism, is uncontrolled migration, it is so-called aggressive ethnic communities all over the world, especially in Europe. And then there is a new phenomena which is called, which is called neo-Nazism. What is the principal difference between conventional challenges, which we observed many decades, and this one, the new one. Because we are living in the world of global informational flood through internet, through other means of delivery. And neo-Nazism, because of the specific features I mentioned above, makes the differences, the borders between these challenges very weak and transparent. Practically it means that we can observe that anti-Semitism and neo-Nazism can trigger the chain reaction between them, involving countries and massive part of the population. This is very important phenomena. And we are speaking just not only about the interests of Jewish streets, we are speaking about interests of the all people. Because our idea of European Jewish Congress to work to protect Jews through protecting the interests of the all people where we are living in. Because, as you know, the majority of Jews are living not in Eretz Israel, not only in Israel, but in diaspora. That's why we are interested in both, in the security of the state of Israel and the security of diaspora. Because one more thing I want to underline today. Anti-Semitism in 2013 became more and more politicized, and which is a very bad signal. Everybody, opponents are calling each other anti-Semites, Nazis. This is a very dangerous thing, because anti-Semitism for us is the subject of security, not politics. We're speaking about much more important thing than politics, security. And this is not acceptable. That's why so important to have the Cantor Center and this activity to stop these speculations, to stop it, and to put very exact data and very exact numbers in all these things to prove where it is really growing and where it is not growing. The exact analysis of the quality of anti-Semitism, and etc., etc. And one more thing, and maybe the last one, to give you the chance to ask questions. We had just now a very important set of meetings in Israel. We, the big delegation of the executives of European Jewish Congress here in Israel. We met the most important leaders in the country. We met Mr. Lapid, we met Benny Gantz, we met Zeev Elkin, the deputy foreign minister, we met the head of the Knesset, Yuli Edelstein, and we met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We discussed the same issues with them. Of course, the questions about, as you know, the last happenings with the Hamas, with the Fatah, and etc., etc. How we can help, and what could be a collaboration between European Jewish Congress and the State of Israel. But one thing we shared, and we shared completely. When we're speaking about important phenomena, like anti-Semitism, like other threats, including the proliferation of nuclear weapons, we should not fight only against happenings, but we should fight against capabilities. We should observe carefully where, in what countries, the potential of anti-Semitism is stronger than in others, and stop it at the level of capabilities and not on the level of events. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much Thank you. And thank you again for the time, the efforts that you invest in this struggle. When you mentioned the Home Secretary, I know you went to see her. You went
I
to
saw
see
her.
No, you went to see her in person. We sent material. It's not just you are investing time and effort in the struggle. I would like now to give
in
the
this
floor.
life, it's always like this. First efforts, then results, you know.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately, not opposite.
Yeah. I'd like to call upon Advocate Aryeh Zuckerman. תחליפו מקום. בוא תשב פה. או פה. זה לא נעים. לא, הוא ישב מול.
But I can, you know.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
בעברית, באנגלית, מה עדיף?
English, אני אתרגם אותך אם צריך.
Just to add 2 points to what was said by President Cantor.
יותר בקול, יותר בקול. שם, כן, תשים לפניך את השם.
בסדר? בסדר? אופה. תודה. Just to emphasize, I would say even one point that comes out of the survey, but more out of what Dr. Cantor spoke about, the feelings in Europe. The trend is changing. And when we're speaking about what is legitimate to speak about in Europe, this is the big change. And one of the main things that we see today is a great political change. The rise of the far right in Europe, we saw it in the last elections in Hungary by the Jobbik party. We see it by the Golden Dawn in Greece. We will see it, we know that, in France by the ultra-right parties of Marine Le Pen. And unfortunately, we'll probably see it very soon in the elections to the European Parliament. This atmosphere of rise in the ultra-right reflects not only a rise in the hatred against minorities, against the Muslim population, but it's a great rise in anti-Semitism. Sometimes it could be disguised at the first instance, as it probably is in France. Sometimes it's out there, as it is in Jobbik and in Golden Dawn in Greece and in Hungary, but we should not be fooled. This is the case with all the ultra-right parties. The anti-Semitism is inherited very strongly, and this issue becomes a popular issue. When we decided to, as Dr. Cantor mentioned, to fight the spreading of the Nazi salute invented by Dieudonné, it wasn't an easy issue. When it came to the football courts, which are the most popular arena of public opinion in Europe and was used by the famous football player in England, it was a question for us, and it's always a question for the Jewish organizations. What is the best tactics to handle anti-Semitism? Is it to attack it? Is it to fight it? Or some criticize us, no, when you relate to it, you create it. You make it important. We made a policy in the European Jewish Congress of the first instance, meaning if you don't fight anti-Semitism, it doesn't go away. It only grows. If you don't stop it when it starts, it becomes legitimate, it becomes public, and it's growing one after the other. When we decided to fight the football player Anelka in the United Kingdom, which eventually brought to his dismissal from the UK Football League, this was something that was not easy to take, but we took this decision, and we were very happy that the public followed it. We were very happy, as mentioned by Dr. Cantor, that politicians followed it, and this trend we hope will be stopped. But this is the issue we need to tackle again and again with all these phenomena of anti-Semitism. This is our goal, and this is our big challenge this year. Thank you.
אוקיי.
נחליף חזרה לשאלות.
נחליף חזרה. כן. Okay. Thank you. תודה רבה. תודה רבה גם לדוקטור קנטור, גם לאריה צוקרמן. אתם רואים you can see that we complemented each other. You spoke about the canal, you spoke about neo-Nazism and the parties. I spoke about the FRA and other issues. So from the three of us, you can get the full picture. I just wanted to add that the canal, this inverted Nazi salute that was invented by Dieudonné, as you said, spread in the internet in a matter of a few weeks, and about 400,000 were already imitating in many forms on the internet, and in practice, in front of Jewish places, synagogues, names of streets, the Auschwitz Gate, as you mentioned, the monument, the central monument in Berlin. Please, the floor is open. פתוח, אנחנו פתוחים לשאלות. בבקשה. בבקשה. מה?
My name is...
Sure.
Okay. My name is Jean-Patrick Gromberg, and I'm a journalist, French-speaking,
Yes.
working on the internet, and I'm on one of the 3 people who denounced Dieudonné and showed to the whole world their picture, the picture you just mentioned.
Thank you.
And we were very happy that French government followed on us and decided to act on Dieudonné's propaganda. Now I would like to mention a few things. I'm talking about the French word that I know. First of all, one court, administrative court in France, decided to let Dieudonné speak after the Prime Minister of France decided to ban him. One administrative court did not want to take out his show. And Manuel Valls had to interfere and to go to Conseil d'État.
Just to say that Manuel Valls was Minister of the Interior in France when the canal started, and now הוא היה שר הפנים, הוא יצא נגד, and now he's Prime Minister.
Second thing, I want to remind that you mentioned the killing of the small children in Toulouse.
In Toulouse.
It's extremely important to remember what Mohamed Merah said. He said, I do this in thinking to vengeance my Palestinian child who were killed by the Jews. And this is the main anti-Semitism violence caused in France. The anti-Semitism act, violence, threat, and all the acts all of them, with no exception, are coming from the Muslims in France. No far right, no extreme right. They didn't act, they didn't do anything. So the problem in France, I know for sure, but I know around a bit in Europe from my work. But the problem in France is that they do not fight anti-Semitism at all, because they do not fight the cause, the origin. They target the far right, the extreme right, the neo-Nazis that do not represent the black folk threat, and they refuse to target the real big issue.
Sir, please be... yeah,
I'm
okay.
done. I wanted to say that
Okay.
I was surprised.
Because,
I was surprised that the issue of the Muslim cause of the anti-Semitism was not raised by the 2 people here as the main actual big problem. Every week a Jew in France is faced with an aggression, and in 100% of the cases we are talking about Muslim or black people, and I report all of them, and I have pictures, testimony.
Okay.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a minute. Just to...
Ask for questions.
Yes. No, but that was an important addition, no doubt. But we ask for questions. That was an important addition, and I would like to stress the following. Mohammed Merah killed soldiers, Muslim soldiers, in France before he did the Toulouse. So it's not just against the Palestinians.
Don't open the discussion.
Yeah, no, please.
Okay.
He killed Christian of Arab origin.
Okay.
And he killed them to punish them for France going to Afghanistan to
Okay,
Arab
so
countries.
Afghanistan and Christians, etc., that's not only... כן. כן, בבקשה.
Yeah, just a quick question. Ariel David for the Associated Press. You mentioned that there is, well, there was a drop in the violent attacks against... well, you
אם אתה
mentioned
יכול
that
לקום,
while-
בבקשה. אתה יכול לקום, כן.
As you mentioned that there was a drop in the rise of violent attacks during the year, but that anti-Semitism is becoming more accepted, more into the
Central,
mainstream,
yes.
And that there is an increased anti-Semitic atmosphere.
Yes.
I understand that this is difficult, but my question is, do you have any research figures that concretely support that statement, or is it just a feeling, a general feeling that you're getting? Thank you.
Okay, למשל. Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. David. מה? רגע, שנייה, תן לענות. The question is a central one, and we have emphasized that all the cases that people experience cannot be measured because they are not reported. But still, our conclusion that anti-Semitism is more to the center and is on the rise in anti-Semitic atmosphere is not based only on Jewish feelings and perception. Feeling and perception, with all due respect, is feeling and perception. But in many countries, especially the ones in which there is a good monitoring system, okay? Mainly the Anglo-Saxon countries, in Canada, in Australia, in the UK, in the US, there is a growing number of these monitored cases. I mentioned Canada, more than 1,300. Last year in the US, more than 12,000. And one more example, and I thank Dr. Feierberg for reminding me. A very important professor with whom we are in touch and we'll have a conference together, Professor Monica Schwartz, took emails, some thousands of 14,000 emails, and analyzed them. Now, from the emails and the material that she saw that the majority of anti-Semitic expressions that she found in this material, it's the first time it has been done in Germany, the majority belong not to the right, extreme right, and not to the extreme left. It belongs to the center they belong to the center and come from the center of society. And that's a different case. Ma? Yeah.
As Professor Porat mentioned, it was 14,000 emails that accumulated in the
כן, okay. So.
in Berlin, in the German embassy, and Professor Schwarz-Friesel, she is a linguistic and philologist, and what her team did is to analyze the language, and the language was High German. So they compare it to other emails that accumulated in Paris and in London, in other Israeli embassies around Europe, and the trend is the same in all over the countries that were analyzed. The people that are educated, they are not ashamed to express anti-Semitic ideas. Okay, anti-Israel is now very accepted, but anti-Israel is an Jewish expressions are expressed openly and
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for making it more accurate. Questions also to Dr. Cantor, because as I mentioned, we can go on, and Dr. Cantor will have to leave as he has an important interview. רגע, sorry. בבקשה. כן.
אני סימה להט ואני מהרשת החינוכית של רדיו קול ישראל. התרשמתי מאוד גם מהקומוניקט שקראתי, העובדות זועקות לשמיים. התרשמתי גם ממה שאמרתם.
כן.
השאלה שלי היא,
I'll translate in a
מה
minute.
הסיבה? עדיין חסרה לי הסיבה להתעוררות הימין הקיצוני.
זה אריאל דוד. זה אריאל דוד. סליחה שנייה. תגידי שלום. סורי. כן.
עדיין, אחרי ששמעתי אתכם וקראתי את הקומוניקט, אני עדיין לא יודעת מה הסיבה, וציפיתי לשמוע מכם את הסיבות לעליית הימין הקיצוני. מדוע החבר, העיתונאי הצרפתי, ז'אן פטריק, מצא לנכון לציין שחלק נכבד מהימין הקיצוני הוא האסלאם? לא הזכרתם את זה? ההרגשה שלי היא שהרצון...
לא, ימין קיצוני זה לא אסלאם. רגע, סליחה. ימין קיצוני זה לא אסלאם, זה צבאי פרשי ונזר.
לא, בין השאר.
בין השאר.
בין השאר.
אוקיי.
תאספי כמה שאלות.
כן. אוקיי. אנחנו רשמנו את עניין הסיבה, ונאסוף עוד כמה שאלות ונענה, אבל בבקשה לא, בסדר גמור רפי, בבקשה לא לערב ימין קיצוני ואסלאם רדיקלי. זה שני חבר'ה אחרים לגמרי, שגם לא סובלים אחד את השני. בבקשה, אילנה. You know what she asked?
האם יש שום באנטישמיות נגד היהודים ונגד הישראלים בשנים האחרונות? זו שאלה אחת. שאלה שנייה, אמרת שהאנטישמיות לא שינתה את פניה, והאם הפרוטוקולים של ציון עדיין מוכרים?
בהצלחה רבה. כן, כן. אוקיי. רגע, הוא הצביע, סליחה, בבקשה. בכל רם, בבקשה.
Although you mentioned it, Professor Korat, that the number of anti-Semitic activities that are not reported are much higher than those which are reported. I would like to ask both of you if there is no deeper reasons for it. You mentioned, Professor Korat, that people say, I don't have the strength to complain, to report, and so on. I believe, we know it in the many generations...
Ask the question, please.
Okay. The question is, if there are no more deeper reasons for people not to report about anti-Semitic activities, because they don't want to to raise panics, and they want to be quiet, to sit quiet in their land, and so on.
It's the question of the statement.
אוקיי, מי עוד? בבקשה. רגע, אילנה, את שאלת על נגד יהודים ונגד ישראלים אם יש הבדל ופרוטוקולים. Please.
Добрый день. Российское агентство РИА Новости. Леонид Звенит. Господин Кантер, два вопроса к вам. Вопрос первый. Как проявления антисемитизма на Украине отражаются на общей ситуации в Украине и вообще на кризисе украинцев? Насколько это серьезно? Может быть, для страны, какое могут быть последствия этого? И второй вопрос о выборах в Европарламент. Вот в контексте выборов в Европарламент проблема антисемитизма, насколько она может, и все вот эти вопросы связаны с антисемитизмом, насколько это может повлиять на результаты выборов в Европарламент? Спасибо.
Can one translate into, anyone can translate into English?
Yeah, the question number 4 was about Ukrainian phenomena and the influence of Ukrainian phenomena on the whole picture of anti-Semitism in Europe.
Did you relate to 2014 or?
13.
13.
13.
Also,
We're
okay.
speaking about 13. 13. Okay. and also elections in the European Parliament, what kind of influence anti-Semitism can have on the results. Okay? That's it?
Yeah, please. Go ahead and then we'll continue later.
Somehow the question about anti-Semitism and ultra-right parties and ultra-left parties and Eurosceptics somehow united. United by the frames and by the situation of the coming elections in the European Parliament in May. As you know, just now, in some countries, in some parliaments, there is an important part of ultra-right parties presented in the parliaments. Like in Hungary, the last result was 21%, with Jobbik party. Then we have Golden Dawn, as you know, in Greece. Then you have Sweden parliament. And you have the situation in Ukraine with Svoboda in Ukrainian parliament. They are definitely ultra-right parties with a lot of specific features of neo-Nazi parties. A lot of. We mentioned this above. What is the danger of all these phenomena on the results in European Parliament? If the mutual, how we can say, consolidation could be done by ultra-right parties, ultra-left parties, which we had in the history when Nazi came into power in Germany, it was consolidation with the communists. Then Hitler immediately got rid of them. But the result was done. Just now, it is more how you can say, dangerous, because they have already recognized leader of this, how you say, coalition is the party of National Front in France, with a recognized leader, Marine Le Pen. And together with Eurosceptics, it could be a very dangerous bomb, which can block in future even the budget process of European Union, and this coalition will demand a lot of positions in the European Commission. And this is very dangerous thing. And all of them, they have anti-Semitic rhetoric. All of them. That's why. Be careful with anti-Semitism. As we say, everything starts with anti-Semitism, but not finishes with this, and with Jews. Because this is, we are like, how you say, indicator of society health. What is bad with Jews is bad for all. This lesson was, the first time, was done in Egypt. What's happened with Egypt, with Mitzrayim, you know, after they treated badly with Jews. The lesson. Then, about why we didn't say about Islamic, how we say, component in the anti-Semitic phenomena. First of all, we're trying to speak just now only about new foundings of 2013. Unfortunately, this Islamic component is a fundamental but conventional threat for our thing. You understand? Because we are stressing only new findings of 2013. And you are very correct, of course. It's a very strong component. Even on top of this, I want to add what is the dangerous thing. I mentioned this, but in a diplomatic way. I mentioned so-called aggressive closed communities. I told this. But what it means de facto. When you spoke about this guy who killed Jews and who killed Christians before, This guy recognized after the murdering as a hero of the community, of this very community. This is the problem, that the closed ethnic communities are living under different legislation. Or they are living under their own legislation. That's why we are speaking tirelessly about the situation when the legislation should be modified. We spoke about this many times. We are speaking about the developing of the concept of secure tolerance. Tolerance which is limited by the demand of security. Then, what is the reason of the lack of
reporting of anti-Semitic events?
Reporting by the victims, by the Jews.
But people don't report.
Yeah.
But it's our nature, what we can say, you know. It's our nature. We are trying to be always, we Jews, trying to always to be low profile. And that's why, because, listen, I explain you the situation. What is the principal difference between national community and umbrella community like European Jewish Congress? National community is a fundraising organization taking care about Jewish welfare, taking care about Jewish old people, and etc., etc., etc. And they are very much in the contact, in the direct contact with the national governments. They always try to find good language with them and to have good collaboration with them. And sometimes they are very much worried. We saw it in Sweden many times. Last years, we saw it in all practical countries. The communities are very, very cautious. And we ask them, listen, use us. We are umbrella organization. We are international organization. If you say us, please come and help, we are reporting. But usually the people are only after strong pressure reporting to us. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. 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 About no.
אחר כך, לא, אנחנו
Yes,
ממשיכים.
I want to finish with the questions if you.
Please, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. About Ukrainian phenomena. Ukrainian phenomena, I think, is very dangerous. I don't want to say that anti-Semitism is bigger or lower, according to the estimations in 2012 and 2013. It's almost the same number of accidents. If you ask me about, I think your question is a little bit different. You are asking me about what's happened in this year. This is the most important question.
This is why I said it's
yes.
not only 2013.
Yes. I can tell you, anti-Semitism was not a phenomena, but ultra-rights and using the ultra-rights instrumentation is very dangerous. Who are very anti-Semitic. These guys, we call this right sector, they are extremely anti-Semitic, for sure. Fortunately, we do not have at the moment some, real incidents. But the potential which we spoke about, the capacity, is tremendous high. And this is the dangerous thing. From my point of view, this phenomena using ultra-right parties and real neo-Nazi parties to change completely the regime in the country is extremely dangerous. But it's another story. About Europarliament, I already explained.
Yes.
Our position. Thank you very much. I will return back with your permission. Yeah.
No, we will continue with the question. With the questions, Dr. Cantor has an important interview. רינה, את רוצה להעיר עכשיו?
Yes, please. Yes, okay. Shortly, please. Yeah, okay.
Jewish press. It's very strange in the report. You spoke only half a page of France, but here you speak perhaps
Yeah.
Okay.
5%.
You will.
No, please.
No. But you mentioned that the party of Le Pen was very dangerous. And you don't speak about Islamic organization in the report and also in your speech. And you have to know that there is...
But it's not a question.
Excuse me, I want to ask you a question. Why you don't mention there is one and thousand French who are fighting inside Syria.
You will answer.
Okay.
It's very exact what he say, but in France, 85% of aggression is not for right or left party, but for Arabic people.
Okay. We will answer. Okay, we'll answer.
Why you speak also French about France? Very strange.
רפי, בבקשה.
No, I have to come back.
No, he will be coming back.
I'd like to refer in the Hebrew or English. Hebrew or English.
רגע, כי הרוסים הולכים, שנייה אחת. Sir, a minute, they are trying, someone is trying to answer. רגע.